All right, Lagos, let's dive into one big issue in Nigeria today. That's because you've heard the headline news. And after the headline news, the big hard fact starts. Where is the line between child discipline and child abuse? Where is the line between child discipline and child abuse? Remember last week I brought two stories to you about two people who physically abused children, got caught on viral video, and are on trial. That's what triggered today's conversation. Now, here's today's big hard fact. UNICEF defines corporal punishment as correction and discipline using physical force that inflicts pain but not injury. Corporal punishment is correction and discipline using physical force that inflicts pain but not injury. So, as far as UNICEF is concerned, once there's an injury, you've crossed the line. Even if it is just a swelling, you have crossed the line. But we're going to get into all of that later. First, I want us to talk about those two cases from last week. First, a mother was arrested for brutalizing her son. She hit him repeatedly on the head with a plank full of nails. The boy had multiple head injuries and she refused to take him to the hospital. She said he disobeyed her, that he wasn't paying attention. And that's why she did that to him. And the second story was a so-called teacher. I say so-called because we still do not have proof that he is registered. He was teaching kids in a lesson center, and because one girl did not study enough, he beat her up with a cane over and over and over. And the poor girl was begging for death, and he told her to die. He has been arrested as well. So now, before we go any further, I want to hear your thoughts on those two stories. Do you agree that the mother and the so-called teacher went too far? Do you agree or disagree that they should be arrested and tried? Do you believe in corporal punishment? That last question is what I'm most interested in. That last question is what I care the most about. Do you believe in corporal punishment? Like I said, UNICEF says corporal punishment is correction and discipline using physical force that inflicts pain but not injury. Do you believe in corporal punishment? And if you do you agree that the mother and the so-called teacher went too far? Do you agree or disagree that they should be arrested and tried? 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. WhatsApp is available as well. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. We're streaming this conversation online on Facebook, and I want to read from you. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. Emmanuel is in Ebute Meta. Hello, Emmanuel. Welcome.
Yeah.
Good evening, Emmanuel. You're live on the show.
Good evening, Sandra.
Yes, good evening. Do you believe in corporal punishment?
I believe in corporal punishment to some extent, and in the other side, not believing in it.
Okay. Do you think...
Because
Okay, go ahead.
Most times, the so-called corporal punishment might result to another thing. In fact, the nature and the method of that corporal punishment sometimes varies from person to person, which makes me not to believe on it.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, I think we've lost each other there. Mohammed is in Ikeja. Hello, Mohammed.
Hello, good evening.
Good
How are you?
evening. Do you believe in corporal punishment?
Yes, I believe in it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the teacher has to maybe face some punishment.
Okay.
But the woman that
The mother.
and son,
Mm.
I think she doesn't deserve that as a mother. Yeah, I think she's supposed to not hit the boy on the head. I
Okay.
think you need to get the cane or something like that,
Okay.
and then punish the boy. But I think that one she goes so far. But because of that, she will not be punished because she's a mother.
Okay. So
Then that's what
she
I'm
went
saying.
too far,
So-
but she should not be punished.
Yeah, she should not be punished because
Okay.
this is her son.
But the
You
teacher
cannot
should be
beat your son
punished.
simply because you didn't hit she didn't hit the boy
Mm.
And then she's not her intention to be into the boy like that. I don't think so, because she's just trying to correct the boy. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it.
That's it,
Thank
he
you.
says. Ibn Oboh is in Oba. Hello, Ibn Oboh.
Hello, Sandra.
How are you? Good evening.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do you believe in corporal punishment?
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay, why?
Yeah, it's okay for you to scold the child, but you don't have to be physical on the child.
Okay.
Fine, you let the child. I think that there are some other ways of punishing a child without even laying hands on him. You can ask the child to kneel down, stool down, and all of that. Then, after the child being punished, you let the child know the reason why he or her is being punished, and maybe that way there'll be you can avert further reoccurrences. And as for the teacher and the mom, well, I think I support the fact that they should be tried and punished.
Okay. All right, Ibn Oboh. Thanks for calling me. Maxwell in Ejigbo. Hello.
How are you, Sandra? How do you do?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. I believe in corporal punishment.
Okay.
Because even in the scripture, in the Proverbs 23:13, it says, "Restore not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die." 14 says, "Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shalt deliver his soul from hell." So if you don't beat a child, give that child a corporal punishment. You are not doing what God has asked you to do. You understand what I'm saying? Spare the rod and spoil the child. You understand? But spoil the rod, the rod and the child.
Okay.
That is all. It's quite different from brutality. Like the case of the teacher, maybe she went to extreme.
It was him. It was a male teacher.
Yes, maybe he was trying to correct that child, but he went to extreme. But there's nothing wrong with spanking the child, so that you can correct that child.
All right.
Literally, you can see it is written here. I never wrote it. You understand?
Written in the scripture, Maxwell says. Sylvester in Satellite Town. Hello, Sylvester.
Yeah, Sandra, good evening.
Good evening. Do you believe in corporal punishment?
Corporal punishment, the problem we have, I won't tell you precisely, but what I have to point out there is that most of us Nigerians will try to abuse certain things. If you are making a corporal punishment, it should be proportional to the offense. If you're not abusing, when a child, maybe a child, or no, normally it's good when you are making corporal punishment to a child, somebody of a far younger age.
Okay.
It should be with moderation. And the correction counseling should come up immediately. Because the child or the younger person you are trying to really correct, you have to make that person know why you are punishing him or her, and then follow up with counseling. Don't do this, and this is the one. When you do this is what it costs. When you're able to do the right thing, you will help yourself to a longer on the run, and then the child will feel happy that he's being corrected.
All right, Sylvester. Let me talk to Ibrahim in Oshodi. Hello, Ibrahim.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can very clearly. Good evening.
Yes. Oh,
do you believe in corporal punishment?
So personally, I don't believe.
Okay.
And for me, I think it's very, very barbaric.
Okay.
And so something happened over the weekend. A particular girl came to the rehearsals. Myself and my wife were talking to her.
Okay.
She came crying. She said her father beat her with a wire, and that's not the first time he has been doing. So for me, I'm an advocate of. I even want to report those kind of people to the authorities.
Okay.
Because I feel a lot of adults should also be beaten. You understand? Because if some people are saying that, I mean, these little children are worthy of, getting all this kind of punishment for some of the things they do, I think older people even do things that are worse than this, and they should be beaten. So personally, what I think is, I mean, if they have done wrong, you can correct them by giving them some punishment, like maybe go on your knees, or I mean, you can deprive them of some things rather than causing them bodily harm. So this is myself and my wife. We're talking about this. I mean,
I'm hearing her in the car. Hello, Mom.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking about it. Let me talk to Bibi in Ikeja. Hello, Bibi.
Hello, good evening, Sandra.
Good evening.
All right, the topic today is an interesting one.
Yes. Do you believe in
I
corporal
think both
punishment?
the teacher and the mother
Mm.
should undergo psychological evaluation.
Okay.
I believe in punishment. The initial definition of corporal punishment is a bit loose because
Okay.
it doesn't specify what a corporal punishment is.
No, it says
I believe in
physical
discipline.
pain. It says
I believe
physical
in
force.
discipline.
Okay.
I also believe in because if I wasn't disciplined by my parents, I wouldn't have been who I am today.
Okay.
Discipline is sure.
Okay.
It must be proportionate to the offense the person or the child commits.
Okay.
The truth still remains one thing. A lot of people out there, that adults out there, don't know or deserve to be called adults.
Okay.
They need psychological evaluation. I will agree and I will tell people that for me, for anybody to get married and start having children should undergo psychological evaluation so that we will know the state of his mind. Bringing up children into this world is something different. And managing them is also another different thing altogether.
All right, baby.
You must be psychologically balanced to undergo such venture.
Okay, thanks for calling me. Let me talk to Ada. Ada is a first-time caller. Hello, Ada.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Okay, Ada. I personally believe in constructive punishment, not corporal. Okay. Why do I say that? I chose my words carefully. I had an incident with my child, and I wanted to spank her and hit her eye. That was enough.
Ooh,
but what if I had blinded her? I would never have been able to live with myself, and I can't even imagine what my husband would have done. Aside that, but personally, I believe in constructive punishment. Why do I say that? Instead of asking a child to kneel down, of what use is that? The child may not even understand what he or she could have done to deserve that. So if you know what you've done, I could decide to make you the dishwasher for the day. So you're going to wash all the dishes. Despite the fact that everybody will wash your dish in my house. Once you finish eating, you wash your dish. But that day, you're going to be the dishwasher. I could decide to take away gadgets. I could decide to do anything, but constructive punishment. So that when you're done with it, I could decide you're going to do the laundry for the week. And I make sure you do it. So I think that's better than having to spank or, if something happens to that child, how do you live with it? And this parent and the teacher, I don't know. I don't know whether to prosecute them or not, but really, I don't believe in what they've done.
Okay. Ada, thank you so much for calling. Make sure you call again. I want to hear more moms calling to the show. If you're a mom, I want to hear from you as well. Do you believe in corporal punishment, not corporate. What, Sandra? UNICEF denies corporal punishment as correction and discipline using physical force that inflicts pain but not injury. So when I think it was Ibn Aghogho who called and said that the definition was a bit loose, I kind of disagree with him because it doesn't get tighter than this. It says corporal punishment is correction and discipline using physical force that inflicts pain but not injury. So as far as UNICEF is concerned, once there's an injury, you've crossed the line. Even if it's just swelling. Like if you're going to slap the child and their face swells from the slap, you've crossed the line. That's what UNICEF is saying. If you're going to conk them on the head, if it causes only pain, that's fine. If it crosses the line and gives injury, you have crossed the line. Now, they're not saying that corporal punishment is fine, by the way. I need to reiterate that. I need to state that. UNICEF isn't saying that corporal punishment is okay. They're just telling you what corporal punishment is. Don't inflict injury. Stop at pain. And I wonder if you think that corporal punishment is the way to go. Do you believe in corporal punishment? And those stories I shared with you when we started, do you agree that the mother and the so-called teacher went too far? Do you agree or disagree that they should be arrested and tried? I had a caller who said that I don't think the mother should have been arrested because, she didn't mean to hurt her son. It's her son, last. But the teacher, yes, the teacher can be arrested. That's fine. Or punished. Maybe not arrested, but punished, definitely. Do you share that opinion? Do you share that thought process? 0700 993 993 993. Hello.
Hello, Sandra. Good afternoon.
Good evening. How are you?
It's fine. My name is Tom.
Tom, do you believe in corporal punishment?
Exactly. I am an advocate of corporal punishment.
Okay.
And before then, I want to say hello to my friend Chukudi. Is he there?
No, he's not.
Okay. Sandra, if you look in the past, you discover that the way our parents were handling us was a little bit very, very better and putting us in the proper shape that make us to be a little better people today. And you cannot remove corporal punishment from it. You understand? So some people that said that a mother punished a child and they would have reported a parent to the police and whatever, I'm not subscribing to that. You understand? You see, the Bible even very, very clear about it, that spare a child or spare the rod and spoil the child. You understand? We cannot do without it. And we have to bring these children in the way that they should go. And you cannot remove punishment from it. You get it? I remember when I was in primary school in those days, in fact, my dad wouldn't be able to beat us. But what he did in those days is that he reported us to the headmasters of the school. You understand? And we were normally punished in the school whenever we did something wrong in at home. You understand? So that really corrected us and make us to be what we're supposed to be.
I see.
So if we now say that these days, I've seen a situation whereby a parent will go to the school to go and deal with a teacher because maybe he punished his or her child and whatever. You understand? That is totally wrong. You understand? It's not helping the society these days. You understand? Irrespective, maybe the teacher might have go extra mile to punish a child or whatever. It doesn't give any right for a parent to leave home. You know, some of them go home, left home with cane to go and discipline a teacher in school. It wasn't like that before.
It wasn't
and we are not doing the right channel these days. It's not helping.
All right. Let me talk to Gabriel in Ikoyi. That's the last call I'll take, and then we'll come back to this. Gabriel, hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, okay, good evening. Yeah, I want to make it clear. If you arrest the mother, where do you not take the child to?
Well, they didn't arrest the father, so I guess they'll leave the child with the stepfather.
I always hear people say they should arrest the mother, they should arrest this. I want to know where do we take the small child to? In Lagos there.
Okay. Oh, that's it. You just wanted to call and ask where do we take the small child to. All right, Gabriel. Thanks for calling me. You know, I want to come back to that point that two of my callers have made today. Spare the rod and spoil the child. It's right there in the Bible. A lot of us who grew up in Christian homes, we heard it. My mother said it to me so many times. In fact, sometimes she said it to me while she was flogging me. But even those of us who were not raised Christian heard another version from our parents and our teachers. Basically, here in Nigeria, we were taught that physical punishment, especially flogging, was necessary. We were taught that there is no other way to raise children who are well behaved and who will grow up to become well-adjusted adults. In fact, one of my callers said that some of the people today, they behave the way they do because they were not flogged as children. But is it true? Is this true? That's really the first thing that we have to talk about before we get into the issue of physical abuse. Let's first talk about beating children in general. A lot of people say children don't listen. They say the only way to get a child to pay attention is to flog them. They say when a child remembers the pain of punishment next time, they won't do the wrong thing again. They say if you shout at a child, it won't work. They say if you reason with a child, it won't work. They say the only thing that conditions a child to behave themselves is corporal punishment. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Is it true? Is it? Are children completely unreasonable? Have you never encountered a child who, if talked to, if scolded, if shouted at, if threatened, will behave herself? Is it true that all children must be caned or flogged before they obey? Because I've seen kids who were never beaten and they seem well behaved. And I've also seen children who were beaten all the time and they still misbehave. So are we sure that spare the rod and spoil the child is 100% accurate? Or is it 80% accurate? Or is it 50%? Or is it even up to 10%? Have you met children or adults who were not flogged and turned out okay? What about children or adults who were flogged but still turned out bad? Were you flogged as a kid? Do you flog your kids? Call me and tell me. 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. That's 0700 993 993 993. I want to hear your thoughts via WhatsApp as well. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. It's 25 minutes past 5. I am Sandra Ezekwesili, just in case you're wondering, and you're listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hard Facts will be right back. Welcome back to Hard Facts.
Spare the rod and spoil the child. It's right there in the Bible. But is it true? That's the first thing we have to talk about before we get into the issue of physical abuse. A lot of people tell you children don't listen. They tell you the only way to get a child to pay attention is to flog them. They say when a child remembers the pain of punishment next time, they won't do the wrong thing again. They say if you shout at a child, it won't work. They say if you reason with a child, it won't work. They say the only thing that conditions a child to behave themselves is corporal punishment. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Is it true? Are children completely unreasonable? Have you never encountered a child who, if talked to, or scolded, or shouted at, or threatened, will behave herself? Is it true that all children must be caned or flogged before they obey? Because I've seen children who were never beaten, never, and they seem well behaved. And I've also seen children who were beating all the time and they still misbehave. So are we sure that spare the rod and spoil the child is 100% accurate? Are we even sure it's 80% accurate? Are we even sure it's 50%? Is it even up to 10? I have Chris, who's a first-time caller. He's at Oshodi today. Hello, Chris. Welcome.
Hello, is that Sandra?
This is Sandra. Welcome. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, this is Sandra. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, Sandra.
Good evening, Chris.
Yeah, are you still on the topic regarding to corporal punishment?
Yes.
Yeah, I just like to say one or two things about this. You see, we have so many ways to put or to straighten the child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
One, after the spiritual sort of prayers, because prayer changes people.
Okay.
Not all the punishment are required that you flog a child.
Mm.
Okay? But there are some punishment that you can give to a child that is beyond even beating them.
Mm.
I remember when we were still coming up, my mom will ask me to use one finger to touch the ground and raise my leg.
To pick pin,
You'll be sweating, you'll be crying. Okay? And by the time I stand up, my leg will be aching me. So I remember, I will not want that thing to happen the following day. I have to be careful. So it's straightening up the child than flogging them. Because the time we come, by the time you flog a child today, flog him tomorrow. Next tomorrow, he get used to that cane. After he's going to beat me. So what else? Okay?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. All right, Chris.
So we have different ways to put a child right.
Okay.
And because there are some children that you have to flog them. If they say just give them punishment and you refuse to carry out the punishment, you'll be forced to flog him or her.
Are you
You know?
Were you flogged?
Yes. Yes, I was flogged.
Okay. Do you know people? Do you know adults or children who were not
when
flogged?
I was a young child.
Do you know people who?
Okay, when I was younger.
Okay. Do you know adults who were not flogged?
Yeah.
Do you know adults who were not flogged?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's not common during our time.
Okay.
I don't know of the recent time we are trying to, change so many things. And look at the places like America and all of that. That's why we have so many spoiled child.
You think they have so many spoiled children?
Yeah, spoiled children, yeah.
Okay.
Because you cannot beat them, and they know that nobody can touch me. So there are some children that you have to punish, maybe some kind of punishment that they will not want it to happen next time.
All right, let me talk to Olisa, who's in transit. Olisa, hello.
Yeah, Sandra, good evening.
Good evening. Do you believe in spare the rod and spoil the child?
Yes, but actually I want to correct something there. What the Bible actually said is spare the rod and hate the child. That's Proverbs 13:24.
And hate?
24, yeah.
Okay.
When you spare the child, you are not just spoiling him, you are hating him.
Huh.
And I don't think any parent would like to hate his own child. So if we believe the scriptures, the Bible is actually the word of God and God is infallible. He doesn't make mistakes. I don't think he has given us a wrong counsel as parents. If he tells us to use the rod, he has given us the right instruction because he knows that on the long run, that will be very helpful.
Okay.
But the issue should be, as parents, how do we now do it? Do we do it to the extreme? But it is not even contextual or debatable whether we should use it unless we don't believe God or the Bible. But as a Christian, because we are talking about Bible here, not Quran, I believe that every child of God should believe this. But the issue there, don't do it to the extreme.
Now, that's the next question. How much is too much? Let me come to Raji. Raji is the last call we'll take, and then I'll share my thoughts on that next point. How much is too much? Raji is in Sangota. Hello, Raji.
How are you, Sandra?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm a first-time caller, very ardent listener.
Great.
Well, all I want to say is the fact that I want people to know that there's a difference between punishment and discipline.
Okay.
Discipline, when you discipline a child, you discipline with a positive result.
Okay.
When you punish a child, punishment has a negative inclination to it.
Okay.
So punishment is not good.
Okay.
Discipline is what all teachers and all parents should be aspiring for.
Okay.
When the child does something wrong, you want to ask yourself, what can I do or what kind of discipline can I give this child so that I could get a positive result out of the child. And most of the time, parents and teachers punish.
Okay.
When you punish the child, you don't expect something good to come out of it, because at the end, the response is usually destructive.
What's an example of discipline and an example of punishment?
They have given you several examples of discipline and punishment. When you discipline a child, you discipline a child, look at what the child has done, and you look at what you can, what type of needed, you can do to the child to get the child to respond positively to what he's done wrong.
Okay.
Now, somebody was just trying to say that in America, yes, they are spoiled children. That is very true. I lived in America for over 20 years. So it is true that over there we have a lot of kids that are spoiled because there's a restriction as to what you can do to a child or how you can discipline a child.
Okay.
They have a lot of problems with discipline over there in the United States. You can have a high school kid talk out to them, the Indian smart cigarettes.
Okay, Raji, thanks for calling me. You know, what we call spoiled in Nigeria is very interesting, and I'm going to come back to that point. But I want us to talk about how much is too much. How far is too far? At what point does it cross the line from acceptable corporal punishment to physical abuse? Let's take those two cases that we talked about earlier. Let's take the alleged teacher. He used a cane on the girl. A lot of parents use canes. A lot of Nigerians will say there is nothing wrong with caning a child. So how far is too far? How do we measure it? Is it by strokes of the cane? How many strokes of the cane are okay before it crosses into child abuse? Are we saying that maybe 12 strokes is okay, but 13 strokes crosses the line? Or is it by location? You know, cane on the hand or cane on the bum is okay, but cane on the head or cane on the stomach is wrong. Is that it? I don't know. Or is it based on the child's reaction? If the child only cries, it's okay. But if the child screams and begs, it's too much. How do we draw? Like, I'm not trying to be ridiculous. I'm trying to get you to draw a line. I want to see where you believe the line is. Then we can talk. Now, you look at the second case, the mother. She beat her son with a plank full of nails on the head. Where do you draw the line? How far is too far? Is it by weapon used? Is a plank unacceptable? Or is a plank acceptable as long as there are no nails on the plank? Or is it wrong to hit the child on the head with a plank, but it's okay to hit them on their back with a plank? Would it have been okay if the child had not bled? Is it the bleeding that says, oh, you have gone too far? What specifically, I want us to stay on these two cases. What specifically about these two cases crossed the line? If you believe in corporal punishment, tell me where you draw the line. How far is too far? 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
You're live on the show. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What's your name, sir?
Okay. I think when corporal punishment is done in anger,
okay,
we are bound to cross the line.
Okay.
It is our disposition when the punishment is carried out that determines whether we're going to cross the line or not.
Mm-hmm.
When your child gets you angry, you wait until the anger passes before you discipline that child or punish that child. If you do it when you're angry, you most likely cross the line.
Okay. So do you have a line? Oh, unfortunately, that connection's gone. Basil, hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Where do you draw the line? Is it 12 strokes? Is it strokes on the hand, on the bum? How did these two people in this story cross the line? Where do you draw the line? That's if you believe in corporal punishment, too. But if you don't,
that discipline to be appropriate must be characterized by love. That's the basic reason why we should discipline a child.
Okay.
And so once the motive for discipline goes beyond bringing out the best in the child, ultimately it's no longer discipline. And as the last caller pointed out, it's not appropriate discipline to go to the extreme.
Okay.
So I wouldn't think that a parent that is using a plank to beat a child or hit the child under the guise of discipline is acting appropriately, no matter how grievous it may be, the act committed. Okay. And I think that there are various ways of correcting a child. You could correct a child through verbal engagement, and over the years, and interacting with my parents while growing up, I found that to be even more effective than caning me. You know, and I wasn't the worst of child, but I wasn't also without my own issues. You know, and I feel that discipline must be appropriate to the incident for which the child is being disciplined. So, for example, if a child has maybe stolen something, as it were, maybe pick money from someone, a classmate, the first reaction must not be mechanical. The parent might speak to the child, and as Christians, for example, we can use the Bible to speak to the child, you know, and that also depends on the age of the child, you know. If the child is really young, maybe about 5 years, you would agree with me that the first and appropriate reaction for such an incident, you know, maybe involving pilfering in the home, you will not necessarily be physical or maybe flogging, you know. You have to engage the child, talk to the child about the consequence of his action. For example, the possibility of being named and shamed. And, you know, as young as children may be, they also have their sense
some
of
concepts.
You know, they have their sense of dignity. So they do not want to be exposed to situations where they are named and shamed.
Basil, thanks for calling me to share those insights with me. James is a first-time caller. James, hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for calling.
All right. Yes, my own contribution is, you see, when we talk of discipline, we look at the degree of the offenses.
Okay.
So the amount of how the weight of the offense is, that is the type of punishment you will give a child.
So what's the highest punishment you should give a child?
The highest punishment.
First of all, James, do you believe in corporal punishment? Corporal punishment. Do you believe in corporal punishment?
It's 50-50. Yes or no, it depends.
It depends, okay. So when the child has done something that deserves corporal punishment, you know, flogging them, beating them, how much is too much? At what point do you draw the line between punishment and abuse?
The line
is not very clear. Okay.
Severe punishment to such a child.
Okay.
You see, let me tell you something. A child that you correct one time, you see that he did not respond well. Now you flog. You now do the worst thing. You understand? Now you now evaluate which one is the best. Whether to they took some child to children welfare police station for correction. They lock them up and they will stay there for some time. Those ones that want to turn to maybe a hooligans.
And you think that's okay? You think that's an okay method as well?
You see, the level of the acceptance of the child, you understand, matters a lot. Okay? If a child that you flog once and he run for flogging, that never in life will never be flogged by his children, by his family. And what I said, I will do it, and whatever they do, I'll bear the consequence.
All right, James, thanks for calling me. You know, it's so what I decided to do today was just hear how Lagos feels about these things. That's it. I just wanted to hear how you feel about these things. And so it's been interesting to hear your views and to address that point that somebody was saying about American children. I have to start with, first of all, answering if corporal punishment is the only way. Because I can't step away from that. Is corporal punishment the only way? There are over 190 countries in the world. I need you to hear me. I need you to pay attention to what I'm saying. There are over 190 countries in the world. Some of them have corporal punishment, and in some of them, corporal punishment is illegal. Yes, there are countries where if you spank your child, if you even spank your child, the government can arrest you. Spanking, just carry your palm and hit their bum bum. Government can arrest you. And some people will look at that and they say those countries are mad. They are looking for wahala. Their children will run wild. Their children are spoiled. In fact, any time that I hear this conversation here in Nigeria, I hear the same thing. People always say, this is not the West. This is Africa. Here in Africa, we still flog our children so that they will not spoil. It's like one of the callers said that verse in the Bible actually says you hate the child when you don't flog them. We flog them so that they can be responsible adults. And I've always had this question, and I have that question now. Do we have responsible adults in Nigeria, in Africa? I mean, look at our society. Look at our society and look at the Western society. Every time we're discussing development or governance or anything on this show, you tell me, Sandra, don't compare us to the West. They are ahead of us. But this same West that is ahead of us, they've stopped flogging their children. They've moved away from corporal punishment. So let me ask, which group of people are more disciplined? Africans who were flogged as children or Westerners who were not? They're not driving one way there. But I'm sure that the taxi driver who drove one way now, as you're listening to me, was flogged as a child. They're not parking in the middle of the road to buy things in traffic. But the person parking in the middle of the road to buy things in traffic was probably flogged as a child. Which group of people are more disciplined? Africans who were flogged as children or Westerners who were not? Now, I'm speaking in general, let me say. I'm speaking in general because not all Africans were flogged. And also, some Westerners were flogged, but in general, most Westerners were not flogged and most Africans were flogged. And so if we here in Africa are saying that flogging creates better behaved adults, how come we have not been able to build better societies than the West? Because if I am to believe you that corporal punishment is the way to mold a child into a disciplined adult, then we should be seeing more corruption in the West than in Africa. We should be seeing more crime in the West than in Africa. We should be seeing more violence in the West than in Africa. We should be seeing more corruption. We should be seeing more abuse of power. But what are we seeing? We're seeing the opposite. We're seeing people who are not afraid to question authority. We're seeing people who are not afraid to challenge authority. Any small thing, they don't enter road to protest. Do you think perhaps that all that flogging cowed the average Nigerian and made them into this person who could not speak truth to power? but would instead abuse the person they believe is smaller than them or less powerful than they are. Upon all its corporal punishment, Africa seems to be producing more badly behaved adults than the West. Why is that the case? That's the final question I'm asking on the show today. If you believe in corporal punishment, explain to me why it's not working in Africa. Why has Africa not produced better citizens and better societies in spite of all our corporal punishment, in spite of all our not sparing the rod to spoil the child? Why do we not have better citizens? AKA is a first-time caller, and he's in Victoria Island. Hello, AKA.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to contribute to your program.
Go ahead.
Yeah, corporal punishment. I want to say, actually, I believe in corporal punishment.
Okay.
But the angle I want to take it from is, why will you punish a child? What has she done or has he done? Let's take, for instance, a child that's supposed to do his normal home chore, house chore every day, will not do it at the right time. Such a child needs discipline. Such a child needs discipline. And if a child goes to school and is not performing well, such a child does not need beating. You need to see the child down, understand the type of child he is. So in a situation like that, it's not all the time you beat a child. Not all the time you beat a child.
All right, AKA, thanks for calling. Because when we talk about children in the West being spoiled and children in Africa who are not flogged, who are flogged are not spoiled, it makes me want to ask if your children have confidence. Do our children grow into adults who can stand up for themselves? Or does our way of raising children make them afraid? Are we teaching our children respect, or are we teaching our children fear? Because you look at the children in the West, you look at their adults actually. They respect authority, but they do not fear it. That's why they stand up to their governments. They can look their boss in the eye. But here in Africa, we have a lot of people who fear authority. Small conversation about politics, and they phone you and tell you to be careful. Is that a product of how we raise our children? 0700 993 993 993. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Sandra.
Thanks for calling. What's
Good
your
evening.
name? Good evening.
This is Adejo.
Adejo, go ahead.
You actually took that last comment out of my mouth.
Okay.
We raise children to fear, not to identify the right thing, stick to it, respect authority, but not fear authority. Respect the elderly ones are not. You know, sometimes when you are when you are a dissenting voice, or you choose to speak the side of no, I want this, choose to disrupt something. You know, it's not disrupting that is bad. You just want to change the status quo. You will have your peers or people around you that will come out and condemn and, you know, shut you down. That is because they fear. They've been raised to fear. Not to respect, not to identify something that is really good. That's my own.
All right, Adejo. Thank you for calling and sharing that with me. We've got Emmanuel Olakunle who says the person inflicting the corporal punishment should do it while they are not angry. Anger pushes people to do extreme things. Wow, Sandra, you've asked a very valid question. I think it is time that we do some deep thinking. That's a message from Daddy Jeff in Ikoyi. All right. He also said that corporal punishment remains a good way to discipline the child, though not 100%. No way of punishment is 100%, so it's important to study the child and know the type of punishment to go with. Okay, another message on WhatsApp. I think we all agree that we need to discipline our children, but the argument is what form? I've heard several callers, and you too, reference your mom about the scripture saying, spare the rod and spoil the child. Do we all know the interpretation of the word rod in the book of Proverbs in Hebrew? It is shebet, with two meanings, one literal and the other figurative. The literal is stick for punishment, while the figurative means building a clan through correction. The Bible likens the word of God to a rod, and God says he corrects us by chastising us. Please, how many people has God flogged? Rod is correct, but not necessarily flogging. You can flog and never make a correction. True correction is relative to the clan that you are to build in love. Love must be the driving force. All right. Thank you, Naphtali. Naphtali sent that message in. I quite like that message. Thanks for sending it across. But honestly, I need us to think about that. The last point I made before Adejo called. Thank you to everybody who tried to call into the show. Thank you to everybody who sent in a message. But we all need to think about that final point that I made. How many of our children, the children that we're raising, how many of them have confidence? Do your children, your adult children, your young children, do they have confidence? Do our children grow into adults who can stand up for themselves? Or does our way of raising children make them afraid? Are we teaching our children respect, or are we teaching them fear? This West that we like to say they are spoiled, they are spoiled, they are spoiled. Children in Africa are not spoiled because they were flogged. Okay. But see how they treat authority. They respect it. They do not fear it. That's why they stand up to government. That's why they can look their bosses in the eye. In Africa, in Nigeria, we have a lot of people who fear authority. Is that a product of how we raise our children? Something for you to think about. On today's show, we had a great conversation on the Big Three. Lagos speaker says Tinubu is everything to APC's success. A former government transport consultant launched a ride-hailing service. It's called Eco Cab. We're trying to get him into the studio to talk to us, as well as the Lagos lawmakers who were suspended. We're hoping that all of them come in next week. And police accuse Oba of sending youths to extort New Peng. We brought you League of Extraordinary Nigerians as well as Eyewitness today. And we just looked at child discipline versus child abuse. It's a thin line, and a lot of people cross it. And you have to decide for yourself where the line is. And you have to decide whether corporal punishment is the only way. You have to look at other countries where corporal punishment isn't the way at all. How are their children? How are their adults? Compare their adults to our own adults and see if the method that we've been using for years is actually working. Now we're going to hand you over to the news at 6, and after that, listed Lagosian. Today, Ireti Bakari Yusuf is interviewing a Frenchman. He's a Lagosian, by the way, of France. So it will be interesting to hear about his part of Lagos, about his view of Lagos. Growing up here, seeing all the sights and sounds, what Lagos means to him. I would be listening today. His name is Monsieur Francois Ott. And that conversation is coming up at 6:30. I am Sandra Ezekwesili on all of my social media if you want to get in touch. Don't forget that Hard Facts now starts every Monday to Friday at 3:02. It used to start at 3:15, but our news is very short now. So you need to tune in immediately if you don't want to miss anything on the Big Three especially. Until tomorrow, Lagos, those were your Hard Facts. Good night.
99.3, your reliable station for more information around Nigeria.